Hey y'all, Farmer Dre back at it. Today is another beautiful Friday afternoon here on the farm. We just got 1.5 inches of rain. So all morning long I've just been doing stuff in the warehouse, going back and forth. But today I'm gonna change things up a little bit. And you know, I've been getting a lot of questions asked, about, orchard establishment and stuff. So I think I'm gonna start doing at least a video once a week just about, about education, informing people. Like today's video, I was thinking today, and some of the basics things about, establishing an orchard and whatnot. So that's the plan for today. For once a week, I'm gonna try to do this. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below throughout the video. Don't forget to hit that little bell notification bell. Comes you guys 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And you guys stay tuned for today's video. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started off by telling you guys the 5 steps you guys need to establish an orchard. And these are the 5 essential things whenever you do, you wanna get started in the orchard business. And the number one most important thing whenever you do, you're thinking about getting started in planting an orchard, it all comes down to the land or the soil. And to make it easy for you to actually buy a piece of land or something, it'd be a lot easier if it's already established in some type of agricultural production kind of deal, kind of like this land we're actually on now. 30 years ago, it was an alfalfa field. So the guy was working up the land, he was planting alfalfa, and he was just mowing and whatnot. But it is possible to actually buy a piece of property that is wooded and to doze it down, but that is just more cost up front to actually get started in establishing the orchard. But it can be done, and I've seen people who done it before. And we've actually, a part of our orchard over there, over the blackberries it was actually part of it was wooded. It took us a lot more time and effort and a lot more energy up front to actually get the place, cultivated and make sure it's under production. But it can be done, and the production side of it, it's still be good to go. So then the first thing is finding land, obviously, to plant that stuff. And and then the second most important thing whenever establishing the orchard is finding out the soil type. The soil type, if it's like we're sitting on a clay loam right now, which is some parts of it's really rocky and whatnot. So the benefit of having a good soil type, and whenever you do your research, when you first do your research on what type of rootstocks and what type of varieties. I know the newer varieties of rootstocks that come out, out of Cornell University, the Geneva rootstocks, they work well in all types of soil. So at the research station at the Geneva farm in New York, they actually try different soil types. So there's like the M7 rootstock. It's a semi-dwarfing rootstock. This is what these are actually on right now. These galas, and I'm standing in right now. They work really well in clay soils or rocky soils. But the Geneva 41 and the Geneva 11 that we've been planting, the high density, those work well in all soil types. So whenever it comes down to finding a piece of property, you got to find out your soil type, see if there's too many rocks and if whatnot. And then we get asked a lot, how can you plant an orchard out here in Missouri, in southwest Missouri, where we grow more rocks than soil? So in my opinion, whenever it comes down to it, it all comes down to your fertilization program and your management program, because a tree could pretty much grow everywhere. If you go to a lake where there's a big bluff or something, you can see a cedar tree, especially in our area, where you can see a cedar tree growing in the side of the, just a wall of rock. So in my opinion, you could grow an apple or any type of tree in any type of soil. It doesn't matter how much rock it is. It comes down to the management, how much you need to fertilize and how much water it takes. So I went up to this conference up in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's a Midwest grower conference, apple conference, and a specialist was talking about nutrient availability in the soil and stuff, and none of that is possible if you don't have the water. And if you have I'm saying 1,000 pounds to the acre of nitrogen, but you don't have any water to distribute that, it's kind of useless. So water and the fertilization part comes in very handy. And the third thing on my list is water, available water. In Missouri, in southwest Missouri, we are actually pretty fortunate. We do get 44 inches of rainfall a year. So the trees we're standing in right now are not irrigated at all, and we just depend on the natural rainfall to actually irrigate these older trees. But on the newer systems and the high density we just planted, we need to pull irrigation, drip irrigation to those, because they're a dwarfing rootstock, of a dwarf tree. So they don't have the power, and the roots don't have the the energy and the vigor to actually dig down and find all that, find all the nutrients and water they need. So irrigation is key whenever it comes down to planting and establishing an orchard. And we're pretty fortunate here on the farm. We have 2 wells on 45 acres. We have a 3 horsepower well and then a 5 horsepower well. The 5 horsepower well is actually feeding all the high tunnels, the greenhouse and our house, and then the warehouse part of it. Then my brother Val at the Blackberries on the other side, he has a well. It's a 3 horsepower well. So we got plenty of water, a debit of water to actually, and enough pressure to come and irrigate the whole orchard. But now it's just a matter of time of digging and putting the pipes and the, you know, the header lines on the drip irrigation and stuff. So some of the irrigation methods we do use, and you can use a big old tank and the tractor just come up and down the rows and water them whenever they do need water. But you know, the most efficient way to water is through drip irrigation and using drip tape. And we use drip irrigation and drip tape on our vegetables, but then they make a drip tube, which is a 10-year, you know, lifespan of a drip tube to actually, you know, pull for perennial plants, you know, trees and shrubs and whatnot. So things that are going to be in the soil for a long time, they make that drip tube to actually irrigate, and it makes it really simple. So, and then whenever you are thinking about putting on an irrigation system, you know, I would recommend calling out an irrigation specialist to actually come out to your farm and, you know, look how many gallons per hour your emitters are putting out and how long you have to water. And on average, this is just like an average note for everybody, you know, a mature tree needs about an inch of rain every week to actually, you know, be able to set size of the fruit and the quality, and just to have a healthy tree and to be able to supply all the nutrients to flow up and down the cambium layer up in the tree to actually supply the fruit and the tree with plenty of nutrients and stuff to the tree for the trees to survive. So now the 4th step into whenever you're thinking about establishing an orchard, this kind of goes with the second one with the shoral type. But whenever you are thinking about establishing an orchard, in my opinion, you know, you got to do a whole lot of research before you actually plant something. So if you're going to do apples or peaches or, you know, blueberries, blackberries, you know, strawberries, you know, you got to do your research beforehand, you know, so you can know exactly what varieties work in your area. We're here in Southwest Missouri, and you know, you guys probably heard of the Honeycrisp apple. The Honeycrisp apple doesn't really work well in our area because our August gets too hot and humid, and then the fruit just gets sun scalded and the trees just get sunburnt. And you know, that's why, you know, it's good to do your research beforehand in different varieties and different rootstocks. So, and then your different types of growing method you want to plant. So I guess this is number 5 is your growing method you want to grow on. The thing that you see behind me right now is these are just a conventional orchard type. We're 16 feet between each tree, 20 feet between each row. So this orchard has been here for 30 years. This block here in the corner of our orchard here. So this method, you know, it works great. You're not gonna, for U-pick and pedestrian friendly, it's pretty easy. But you know, you have trees that are, you know, 17 foot tall, and whenever you got to think about harvesting and managing, and then your sprayers, and you know, I'm going to do a video probably my next week's video on education is probably be the equipment you need. So you got to think of that and what type of system you're going to plant in. So as you guys can see here, we kind of have on our farm, we have different growing methods and different systems we're planting. So we have the traditional orchard type. You know, we're planting 20 by 20 that we're sitting on right here. And then we have the moderate orchard type where we're planting a little higher density trees like those Golden Delicious in block 2. They're planted 12 feet between each tree and 20 feet between each row. And then we have the high density system where we're planting 12 feet between each row and 3 feet between each tree. And we chose, you know, we're just trying it out in our area. We just, you know, we're the first orchard in our area to actually try the system, and we're a lot further south than like Michigan and New York. So for us, we have a lot, you know, our trees are gonna be a lot more vigorous. We have a longer growing season. So then managing crop load in the 2nd and 3rd year on the high density system is critical. So for me, I have been doing my research and been learning a lot of things about the high density system, even though we don't have a full mature block of high density yet. You know, it's good to actually do your research beforehand on that, on the high density system. So knowing your growing system and what type of system you're going to use. And on apples, there's the conventional orchard type, you know, traditional 20 by 20, and then there's the moderate where you plant a little higher density, and then there's actually the high density system where you're planting 12 by 3. It's actually, the technical term is called a tall spindle. And then they have the super spindle which you're planting a lot closer densities. The super spindle density system, you're planting 2 feet between each tree and 11 feet between each row, and you're planting about 2,000 trees to the acre. And for us in our area, I don't see where that's going to be possible because, you you know, we have like a longer growing season, like I mentioned, and you know, I guess we can try it, but we're just sticking to the toss spindle system right now. And they have the vertical axis is where you keep renewing the branches, and it gets complicated, different spacings and stuff. So that's on apples, but I know on peaches they don't have a high density system yet because they haven't came out with a successful dwarfing rootstock on peaches. So you know, on peaches the most common is open center, where you're planting 15 to 20 feet between each tree, and you're just training the tree to, you know, 4 to 5 leaders coming out from the tree, and to actually get plenty of sunlight, and you know, for the trees to convert the you know, have a good nice sweet looking fruit on there. So on peaches there's not really, you can't really do a really high density because of dwarfing rootstock, but there has been research done where you're using the standard rootstock of a peach tree, but you're training them to like the quad V system, and that's where you're leaving 4, you know, main scaffolds up, but you're planting the trees every 7 feet apart, so you're really compressing about, you know, 600 trees, 700 trees to the acre. So you know, there's research going on, but then it's really high management in that system, and you know, it gets complicated. And a lot of these newer systems in apples and peaches, they're trying to eliminate ladder usage, and for us, we use a lot of ladders to prune and pick all the fruit. But you know, in the commercial scale production, they're trying to eliminate all ladders, and they're trying to move. They're moving towards mechanical harvesters and, you know, platforms for the workers to actually sit on, so they actually could you know, work standing up. So that's where the commercial production is moving towards. Is, you know, because a lot of people have been getting hurt, you know, falling off ladders, and ladders are just the pain to actually do that. But that's where the commercial, you know, production is actually going, is towards mechanization and becoming pedestrian friendly, so you don't have to so you won't have as many injuries on your farm. Alrighty, so kind of a recap of today's video. So the first thing was you know, finding a piece of land that, you know, has you know, it's either been in agricultural production or just been, you know, wooded. Anywhere works. It just depends how much money you want to put up a cost up front. And then the second thing is the soil type of your property, if you know, if it's good for fruit production or not, and then it comes down to management. And the third thing is irrigation, if you're able to have, you know, water available to actually irrigate the trees. And the number 4 point was the type of you know, varieties or different types of, you know, what you're going to plant. And the fifth thing was the growing system, to what kind of system you're actually going to plant. And you know, that's just what I came up to the conclusion of whenever someone wants to plant an orchard. So that is going to be pretty much it for today. If you guys haven't already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, don't forget to leave them down below. And I want to say thanks for watching up to this point. You guys have a good day, and we'll see you next time.